if we went up to somebody now that knew you in the WWF, say one of the bookers or somebody, what would they say? What do you think they would say about Louie Spicolli? If they say, what do you think of Louie Spicolli?
Well, they'd probably say, "Oh, he's a good kid."
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd say anything bad about me.
Yeah. You think they'd say anything good?
I think they would.
Yeah.
But if they had anything bad to say about me, I don't think they would.
Yeah.
Because, I don't think they're going to, go out and start saying negative things about people.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't do anything bad to get let go.
Yeah.
I didn't, go, pee on a girl or fucking try to beat up Vince or anything like that. I got sick, so I think that they were worried that I was going to be a health risk and fall over and die in the middle of the ring. So, I don't really know. I don't really know. All they said to me was that, it's hard for a person to get a shot in WWF, and it's hard for a person to get their spot. And I was fortunate enough to get my spot, and since I had gotten sick, I lost it, and they were going to have to let me go.
Wow. Is that where everything started going downhill? Was right when you got sick, or was it before you got sick that you could see things starting?
It's like I saw a couple things, that were kind of questionable, and I started wondering why would they say that? And, a couple things that were untrue. Bruce Prichard came up to me and told me that I yelled at a guy at Continental Airlines because they lost my luggage. I never yelled at anybody at Continental Airlines. Candido yelled at the people at Continental Airlines because he had waited at the airport for 5 hours for my bags.
Right.
I mean, for me. And then when I got there, my bags were lost. And Candido, snapped out.
Yeah.
I didn't snap out. And then the Bruce Prichard came out and he said, "You can't yell at these people." And I'm like, "But I didn't." He's like, "Just listen," And I'm like, "Well, wait a minute." I'm thinking to myself, if I didn't do it, then don't tell me, wait a minute. I didn't do it, right?
Yeah.
And, if I would have done it, I would have listened to him and I would have said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to say I'm sorry for something I didn't do."
Mm-hmm.
And, the same tour was like I was on the phone waiting for my bags and I was getting sick because it was wintertime and I'm from California and it's 20 degrees outside and I'm getting a cold. It's 2:00 in the afternoon because we have an afternoon show. I'm sitting on the floor on a payphone waiting for they would keep me on hold for a half hour to try to find my bags. I'm sitting on the floor and Jim Ross goes and makes some comment to Owen Hart like, "What's wrong with Louie? He looks like he's high as a kite." And then all of a sudden, J.J. Dillon comes up to me and says, as your friend, I want to tell you this. It came back to me at the office that you were high as a kite in this town. And I was like, I was fucking sick. It was 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I mean, if I first of all, if they really thought I was high as a kite, then they would have drug tested me.
Right.
To find out for sure.
Right.
They never drug tested me.
Right.
So I just, that whole thing smelled fishy.
Yeah.
And then I think, I had the seizure. I tried to explain to them. See, what happened was when I woke up in the hospital, my first thing I thought was I better call J.J. Dillon. I got to let my boss know what happened. But I didn't know what had happened yet, because all the test results hadn't come back yet. I thought that I fell downstairs and hit my head and got knocked out. So I told him I fell downstairs. And then afterwards I told him, no, I had, bleeding on the back of my brain. And, it was because I was getting dropped in my head every night from Ahmed Johnson, and there was like a few nights where I blacked out, and I came to a couple seconds later, which, and that's, what they told me at the hospital, that's what it was from. And, but I couldn't tell them, oh, I have bleeding on my brain when I had just woke up and I said, I got a call. I called a call.
Yeah.
JJ, I didn't know yet. They hadn't told me yet. I was only assuming. I just called them prematurely.
Right. Wow. Well, I was going to ask you about Ahmed Johnson. Is that what it was that led to your seizure, being dropped in your head so many times? Because I know
that's the only thing I could think of. I mean, I don't want to pin it on the guy, but he was a nice guy. But I got dropped in my head a lot.
Yeah. Because I know, weren't you one of the first guys to work with him when he came in?
I was the first guy to work.
Oh, you were the first guy.
for many, many months. And for many months, I got dropped on my head.
Yeah, I
You
guess.
know, and I didn't want to complain because, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they would have replaced me.
Right.
And I don't want to be replaced. So I just, you know.
Yeah, and you were getting work, so.
Yeah, I just hung in there and hoped that it would change and get better.
Right. So after you, so what exactly happened with your seizure? I heard you passed out on somebody's lawn, or.
Yeah, I was playing video games with my friend, and it was like, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, and I was gonna go home, and I remember, you know, I walked out his front door. He lived like a block from me. I walked out his front door, down to my car, and I go, oh fuck, I left my keys in the house. And I turned around, and when I turned around, I kind of felt funny. I was like, you know, I hadn't even been drinking or nothing. I was drinking Mountain Dew,
Yeah.
and I went and I knocked back on his door, and he didn't answer. And I said, fuck, you know, why isn't he answering? Well, I don't know. I started feeling weird. Like, let me just go down to my car. And that's all I remember.
Yeah.
That was just it. And then I woke up and I was like in intensive care.
Wow.
So I had no idea what happened.
Was it a given after you had your conversations with JJ and everything? Was it a given that I'm done with them, or did you still have aspirations of that maybe I can get a spot back?
You mean right away?
Not pretty much, yeah.
Well, I was hoping, but I didn't know really. You know, I was hoping that I could get my spot back right away, but you know, through the conversation was basically like, you know, we have to give you your notice.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, could I call you in 3 weeks and see if I could get back on? And, you know, so yeah, I kind of thought that maybe I would be able to get my job back right away.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, shit, you know, if they don't bring me back, I'll try to go to WCW.
Yeah.
But then they wouldn't let me out of my contract, or they would, but it would be unconditional. It would be conditional, meaning that I couldn't work for WCW. And I couldn't use the Rad Radford name, which I wasn't going to use Rad Radford name if I was WCW. I knew that.
Right.
But I think their whole deal is they tell me that they're going to stop giving me work. So then I'm supposed to go to them and get a release, and then it looks like I'm quitting. And with me quitting, then the ball's in their court, saying, "Oh, if you quit, then we could do whatever we want with you." But I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not signing a release.
Yeah.
I'll just stay under contract."
Yeah.
They got hot, you know. They got mad at me, but it was because, you know, I was released for a shitty reason and for an unfair reason, and I didn't want to like have to sit under contract for another year and not get to go work somewhere and make money. And you know, when Paul Lee wanted to use me here, I called JJ and said, "Hey, you know, I'm going to work for ECW." He said, "Well, no, you're not. You're still under contract." Well, what? I'm like, "Well, what the fuck? You know, what am I supposed to do? You know?"
Yeah.
So then they finally agreed to give me a unconditional release.
Yeah.
And they gave it to me.
So it was like a game. It was like a game of chicken, more or less, where you said, "I'm not signing," and they said, "Well, we're not letting you go." And
so it was me
yeah,
sitting at home for 4 months, not getting to work. And they didn't want me under their contract because they were still liable for me.
Right.
And finally, they said, "Let's just let them go."
What'd you do that whole 4 months?
Nothing.
No. Just sat home.
I worked a couple independents up in Canada.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time, I just did nothing. Did 90210 and stuff like that.
Right.
A couple other shows. Jerry Maguire. I was in Jerry Maguire.
Were you?
Yeah. They cut it out, though. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Were you cut out of that, or was that in there?
I don't know. I never saw it.
Yeah.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Jerry Maguire. I can't remember what else. One or two other things.
Do you still watch? Do you still watch your TV?
What, WWF?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm always here on the weekends. I'm always in ECW on the weekends.
Sure.
I always watch Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
You know, I make it a point every week to watch Nitro and Raw.
Yeah.
So, you know, I somewhat do.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're main guys that they're gonna, you know, push or on Raw.
Right.
And the other guys kind of get stuck on the other shows.
Right.
So I don't really see the other guys. I kind of just see the main guys.
Yeah.
Because I don't get a chance to watch, you know. I mean, for a while I had a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't want to watch.
Gary.
Hey, Gary.
That guy's funny.
I had a bad taste in my mouth, so I didn't want to, hear from them.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to watch their show. But then after a while, I came around and started watching again.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.